Do not embrace your curls. Or better yet, watch this before you do, because I'm sharing 5 reasons that embracing your curls might not be the right choice for you. With the growth of the curly girl method and the curly hair community, especially since the pandemic, there has been an explosion of content and people, including myself, who are recommending to other people with textured hair to embrace their natural texture. There are a ton of great reasons to do this. It truly is one of the best things I did for myself. But I have also learned over years of working with hundreds of other people who are embracing their natural texture that it's not the best decision for everyone that has curly hair. Sometimes the reality is that the lifestyle just doesn't suit you, especially in the beginning. And that's totally fine. It's not for everyone. So here are 5 reasons embracing your curls might not be the right thing for you. Now, first, I'm going to start off with the one that everybody hates the most, and that is you are going to have a ton of frizz all of the time, no matter what you do. Just because you embrace your naturally textured hair doesn't mean that your frizz naturally just goes away. The truth is that having frizz is part of having textured hair. I have frizz all the time. Some days I have more frizz than others. I've been wearing my hair curly for 15-ish years, and I still have frizz all the time. It didn't just disappear. It's a lot less frizz than when I used to brush my hair out and pretend that it was straight. Yes, so the frizz is reduced, and you definitely learn over time things that you can do and products you can use and just what your hair prefers to have less frizz, but you're never going to be frizz free. So you have to expect to have some frizz and be okay with that. If you are not okay with having some frizz, then do not embrace your curls. The second thing is that it takes a really long time. The process of transitioning from, typically most people are straightening their hair or just manipulating it in some way where they're not wearing it in its natural form or bringing out the natural texture. And so transitioning away from that to having your hair curly and having like a simpler routine where you're just applying your product, scrunching in, drying, and it dries kind of like mine did, that takes a really long time. The more damaged your hair is, the longer you've been avoiding it or working against it, and the less you know about your hair overall, the longer that process is going to take. So if you are not okay with waiting months to even maybe a year or longer to have a better idea of how to style your curly hair and be more confident with it, then do not embrace your curls. The third one is one that may not apply to everybody, but it is still pretty common. It's something that I experienced, and it is that your naturally textured hair may appear unprofessional to some people. And so this could affect you at work. Now, I have worked in places where wearing curly hair was not okay, especially having gray hair. That was definitely not okay. You were expected to dye your hair if you had gray hair and straighten it. And while it wasn't like policy, because they obviously can't do that, there were lots of comments made. And I've heard stories from lots of other people. I've done polls on my blog before, and I've heard horror stories of people who have had negative comments from coworkers, bosses, and just makes you kind of feel like crap for wearing your hair curly. And the truth is that in the beginning, when you first start doing it, it doesn't look all that great. It can look a little unkempt in the beginning because you look different, right? You had sleek hair before, and now it's wild and messy, right? That's what people always say about our hair, and they're not used to seeing you like that. So sometimes people's perspective on this is just wrong, but it's a reality of the world that we live in. And it's something that you have to consider. If you work in a place where your appearance is extremely important and you know they're very conservative and traditional, and you suspect that wearing your hair curly could be a problem, then this would not work for you. The fourth thing is you have to be okay with the unpredictability of curly hair. The truth is that curly hair is not like when you style your hair straight, where you have 100% control. You know exactly what your hair is going to look like when you are done styling your hair curly, especially if you use a flat iron. It's going to look straight. It's going to be sleek and shiny. You're not going to have a lot of frizz and flyaways. That's not the case with curly hair. Every time you wash and style your hair, it's going to look completely different from the time before that. There's no real way to predict exactly how it's going to look. You will get to the point where it's consistently looking a certain way, right? Like my hair. I know usually my hair looks like this. Sometimes I don't know what happens. I didn't apply something correctly, or I tried a new product, or I didn't apply enough, and it can come out a little wonky, and I'll have bad hair days, right? Bad hair days are normal. But like I said, curly hair is just a little bit more unpredictable than straight hair. So you have to be okay with having different results every time. The random wonkiness, the weather ruining your hair here and there, products suddenly not working on your hair. Those are things that happen. So you have to be okay with that from time to time. The fifth thing is that you have to learn a lot. So not only does it take a long time, like I mentioned, earlier, but there's a lot of stuff that you need to learn. And so it can very, very quickly become overwhelming, especially if you're consuming a lot of content about curly hair care online. I hope that if you are watching my video and you have consumed other content of mine, that is not the case for you, because I really try to keep things simple and not bombard you with a bunch of ridiculous and crazy ideas or lots and lots of products. But the truth is that it can be very overwhelming, especially if you really have no clue. If you always thought your hair was straight and now you just realize that it's curly and you've been treating it wrong the whole time, or maybe it changed. A lot of times it happens to some women where hormonal or even sometimes chemo can change your hair texture. Then this is brand new. It's like you have zero idea and you do have a lot to learn. So that can become overwhelming. You're gonna have to try a lot of different products. You're gonna have to try a lot of different strategies and routines to kind of test things out in the very beginning so that you can see how your hair responds and you can use that information to move forward and do things that give you the results that you're looking for. So you have to learn about your own hair and figure out what it is that your hair likes and prefers. For example, if you live somewhere where the weather can be a little difficult on hair, that's something that you're gonna have to learn. Or if you have hair type like mine that doesn't really align with the common recommendations for curly hair, like use a lot of moisturizing products, then you're gonna really struggle to follow the conventional advice. That was my problem. I struggled with the conventional advice for a couple of years in the beginning because my hair is very different from typical curly hair. So if you do not want to learn a lot, if you get overwhelmed very easily with lots of information, you're not ready for this, then you may not want to embrace your curls right now. Now, if you are struggling with your hair like I was, watch this video next where I share 10 things I quit to get my best curls.